Rendering an animation. So rendering an animation is making a 2D image of a 3D scene. So it shows all our lighting, materials, its backgrounds, and all that's put into the scene. To render the final animation, we want to go to the Render Setup tool. And we can come up here to Render Setup and click on that. And what we want to take a look at is our target up here. Our target is our production rendering mode. This is the most commonly used one. Our presets is used for specifying certain presets, such as our 3ds Max, scanline, no advanced lighting, etc. So we do have some preset ones here. Down in our renderer, we can choose which rendering engine we'd like to use. So we can use the default scanline renderer, or we can use our mental ray, for example. So I'm going to go with our default scanline renderer. We can choose which view to pick to render. By default, it's quad 4 perspective. In this case, I picked quad 4 and it's my camera 01. And I can choose those particular views to render. Down in my common parameters, let's take a look at these. And we're going to our time output first. I could just render a single frame, but I'm going to render my active time segment. So my time segment down here on my time bar here, my track bar, excuse me, is 30 seconds long. So it's going from 0 to 30 seconds. I could pick a certain range. I can only do like from 10 seconds to 30 seconds if I wanted to. Or I could just do certain frames. I could actually do each frame with a comma in between, or if I put a dash, it's between frames 5 and 12, for example. The area to render is the view. I could have a selected area, a cropped area, etc. So I don't have to do the whole thing if I want to run a test, for example. My output size, how big is my output size? I have a drop-down arrow which I can pick standard camera lenses, etc. I could also go with custom, and I can pick various sizes like 640 by 480 or 800 by 600. And so I'm going to go with the 800 by 600. Notice that when it's bigger, it takes longer to process, right? The smaller ones are quicker to process. Down in my options, I can check on which options I want. If I want to have my atmosphere in, any effects, any displacements I can use will be in there. I can choose advanced lighting if I want to use advanced lighting or not, and I can take that off. My bitmap performance, I can set up my caching, so I can hit setup for that. I can set up where I want my computer to cache and how it's going to handle its memory. We have a rendering output. I need to tell it a file of where it's going to go. So I'm going to go over here to files, and I've already set this up. And I set up to my folder where I want it. I gave it a name, and I picked the type. In this case, I saved it as an AVI file. So in the AVI file, I could have chose like a movie for, like Apple products, or an AVI, which is very common. And I can save that. And let's see, I also can make sure I assign my rendering up to my rendering rollout up here. And at this point, I got everything set up, and I can go and hit the render button to render if I want. I can close this dialog box as my rendering is all set up. But I probably want to take a look at doing a preview before I actually run the render, because at this time I don't know how long it's going to take, so I just didn't want to hit the render button right now. But I am set up. I did do the render setup for my rendering of my animation, and I'm ready to go to hit the render button. when ready. So at this point, we're all set up for my rendering.